Hello and welcome to another Orange Coast College mathematics video. In this video, we're going to learn to convert between fractions, decimals, and percentages. I will assume that you are comfortable rounding to a given decimal place. All right, let's start with an example. We want to write as a fraction and percent these two numbers. So first A 0.34 and B 0.2. So let's do as a percentage first, because that's actually the easiest thing to do. If you have a decimal, the way to write it as a percent is to just multiply that number by 100. So if we take 0.34 and we multiply it by 100, that will give us 34, and that's the percentage. Because what does that decimal represent? It represents the sort of percentage of 1. Okay, and so for B, I'll write it down here. For B, we take 0.2, 0, and we multiply it by 100. Really what you want to do is you want to write by 100%, and you will get 20%. Okay, and that's how we write a decimal as a percentage. Now, to write these as a fraction, all we need to do is write the decimal part, so 34, write it as the numerator over however many decimal places this is. So this is to the hundreds place. So this is 2 decimal places. So what you want to do is you want to write it as 34 over 100, because again, this is to the hundreds place, right? This is the last place here. This second decimal place is the hundredths. So to write it as a fraction, we write 0.34 as 34 over 100. And you can, of course, simplify that. They have a common factor of 2, 34 and 100. So this will be 17 over 50. Okay. And then for the second one, 0.20, that would be 20 over 100. Oops, sorry, 20, not 200. And of course, 20 is a factor of 100. That will simplify into 1/5. And that's it. Example 2. In this example, we want to take these fractions and convert them to both decimals and percentages. And the way we will do that is we'll start by, if we have a fraction, we can convert it into a decimal by simply using our calculator. So we take 13 over 8, and we take 13 over 8, that's just 13 divided by 8. We type that into our calculator, and we see that we get 1.625. So 13/8 is 1.625. The way we get that into a percentage is to simply multiply that by 100. Now it says round to 3 decimal places. It's already rounded to 3 decimal places. If we take 1.625, again, we multiply by 100%, that just moves the decimal place 2 spaces to the right. We get 162.5%. Okay, and that's it for part A. For B, if we use our calculator and we take, we'll clear this, and we take 2 divided by 3, you see 2/3. It's going to give us 0.6 repeating. Really that 6 repeats forever. That 7 is just rounding to that spot. We want to round this to 3 decimal places, so that will give us 0.66, and then since we have the 4th decimal place here is a 6, that's greater than 5, so we round that up to 7. Okay. And then to change this into a percentage, we take 0.667, we multiply by 100%, and we get 66.7%. Here's our final example. So we have 2 percentages, and we want to write them as both a fraction and as a decimal. So percentage, percent means basically per 100. So if you have a percentage, you can get the fraction by simply dividing that number by 100. So for A, 24% is going to become 24 over 100. And both of those are divisible by 4. So if we divide by 4, we get 8 over 25, right? So when I say divide by 4, I cancel out the common factor of 4 in both the numerator and denominator. Now, to write it as a decimal, all we have to do is just take 24, and if we take the decimal place right here and we just move it, we just divide that by 100 in the calculator. So really, you can clear this. You can just get 24 divided by 100. If you're not sure, you see that you get 0.24. The easiest thing to do here is just move the decimal place. So since this is just 24, there's a decimal place right here. Move it 2 spaces to the left, and that will be the same as dividing by 100. So essentially, you just take this decimal place here, move it to here, and that will give you 0.24. Or just use your calculator if you want. Okay. Now for B, we have, if we want to write 2.5%, you might say, okay, well, we do the same thing, just divide it by 100 to write it as a fraction. But when we have a fraction, right, we don't want to have a decimal, something that's not an integer, in the numerator or denominator. So since it's 2.5, if I multiply this by, say, 2 over 2, then you would get 5 over 200. And now that has integers in both the numerator and denominator. And of course, 200 is divisible by 5. So we have a common factor of 5 in the numerator and denominator. And so we get, this is going to simplify into being 1 over 40, right? Because 200 is 5 times 40. And then again, if I want to change 2.5% into a decimal, you take the decimal place and you move it 2 units to the left. So if you do that, you have to put a 0 there, 2 spaces to the left. So it becomes 0.025. Or like I said before, you can just take 2.5 and use your calculator and divide it by 100, and you'll get the same thing here, you see. And that's it for converting between fractions, decimals, and percentages. It's relatively straightforward. It might take a little bit of practice, but if you work on this, you'll have it done, figured out in no time. All right, until next time, have fun.